So what all do you need on a battle belt, or a range belt? I know that for someone just getting started, all of this stuff can be a bit overwhelming, especially when there's a lot of information on the internet all about this stuff. And in this video, I'm going to give you the grand tour of my range belt and the price breakdowns to hopefully provide some inspiration and insight, as well as some more clarity if you're currently working on a build plan of your own. Now, some things to note: none of these items have been sponsored to me. I've accumulated all of these items over an extended period of time. Now, I know it might feel a bit intimidating when we get into the price breakdowns, but don't stress yourself out too much because I didn't have all of this stuff just getting started, and you don't need all of it either. So as we go through everything, I'll try to point out everything that you do and don't need just to help you with your own build plan just getting started. Also, I'll have links to the products and review videos of some of these things. That way, if you're interested, you can feel free to check those out. So firstly, I want to go over the inner and outer belt, and then we'll start on my right side of the belt and we'll work our way around. The outer belt is what's called a speed belt from T-Rex Arms, currently sitting at $140 depending on your size. Then the inner belt, you're looking at about $45. And together it's $185 just for the belts themselves. Now, I know that can be a lot, but you have to consider the amount of weight that you're going to be attaching to these, and you're going to want something that's going to be able to support all the weight, and that's what you're going to get with these belts. I sat this belt on a scale, and fully loaded it was reading roughly 12 pounds. Now, it was a little bit tricky trying to get it to line up properly, but that's roughly what we're looking at. I've had this belt for over a year, and with frequent usage, it's still holding pretty strong. Alright, so now we have my handy Leatherman multi-tool, and this sucker's great. They are sitting at $79 on Amazon currently, and I would strongly encourage you to get one. They're great for minor fixes and tweaks, either on the range or at home. Next is my Glock 19 MOS and holster rig setup. So the holster setup is pretty much pieced together with both T-Rex Arms and Safariland products, with first a low ride holster mount and quick locking system, both from Safariland. Then we have the holster and thigh strap, both from T-Rex Arms, and just for the gun holster rig itself, with current prices, we're looking at just under $150. And next we have my gun. This is the Glock 19 Gen 5 MOS, and here I have the Holosun 507C, the Streamlight TLR1 HL, and the Strike Industries Magwell. And all in all, I've got about $1,100 wrapped up into just my gun. Now, if you're working with a small budget, I know this can sound insane, especially since we're just getting started with the setup. You don't have to go crazy up front. If you just wanted to get a bone stock gun and then a holster setup to save a few $100s, then you can definitely do that. Now, do keep in mind that a good holster setup is going to be a bit pricey depending on how you want it set up. The next thing we've got is this PTAC Gear med kit that I got on Amazon. This is pretty much the same exact thing as the T-Rex Arms Med 1 kit, but just half the price. Inside I've got some medical equipment that I sourced from T-Rex Arms, and with everything we're looking at $95 with this medical setup. I believe about $20 for the pouch, then for the medical supplies you're looking at about $75. Now, you don't have to spend this much on medical equipment up front. However, if you train alone, I would definitely encourage you to get some medical supplies. But if you're training with somebody else who has med equipment, then you should be good for the meantime. Next up, we have my T-Rex Arms dump pouch, and this thing is pretty slick, as you can see with how nicely it tucks away. For $50, these aren't essential, but they're nice to have to carry miscellaneous items on the range. That way you can keep small things on you without having to run all over the place taking care of logistics. Moving on, we have my 09 AR mag carrier. 09 specializes in law enforcement Kydex cases, and their quality is phenomenal. I used to work in corrections, and that's what I rocked with on my belt. The only reason I didn't get a T-Rex Arms carrier was because they were out of stock when I needed it, so I just went with this one. They're about $45, and 09 has a high demand, so you're going to pay a little extra coin for their products. If you don't train with an AR, then of course you don't need it. Next, we have my T-Rex Arms Ragnarok Glock mag carriers, and they're very solid. I've had these for a while and I really don't have any complaints with them. Now, for one of these, you're currently looking at roughly $35 a pop, but again, they're great quality, so they are worth it. If you're training handgun, I would definitely get at least one of these so you can practice reloads. I would not sleep on these. And now we have probably the most important thing on this belt, and that is my super tactical electrical tape setup. I have a carabiner, a little elastic band, and a roll of tape. Altogether, just under $15. You always need tape, whether it's for taping up your fingers or other things. For me, I always somehow manage to cut up my hands and fingers when I'm training AR, so this definitely comes in handy. Now, you definitely don't need to set it up like this. This is just something I improvised together because, well, I just thought it looked cool. So, that's the belt. With just the gear, we're looking at roughly $574.08. And with it fully loaded with everything, we're looking at $1945.87. Now, I know you might be thinking like, wow, that's a lot of coin wrapped up into just some hard plastic and fabric. But again, you definitely don't need all of this just getting started. I'm just putting this out here for inspiration and clarity for you just starting your build. If you wanted to start with the basics, you could just get the belts, holster rig setup, and a single mag carrier, and be looking at roughly $370, not including your gun. Now, if you want to go super bare bones, an option you could consider is a gun holster rig, mag carrier for $185, then just use a normal belt. Now, that is theoretical because I haven't trained that way, so I'm not necessarily recommending that. I'm just letting you know that that is an option. So, that's my setup. If you made it this far into the video, make sure you head on over to rangerulers.com to download your free range day checklist. I'll put the link down in the description below. And if you're shopping for a new handgun and you're curious if the Glock 19 Gen 5 is for you, then click this video here.